Good morning, DawgNation. I'm Brandon Adams. We're obviously live here in New Orleans doing a very different kind of broadcast than we would have expected to. Obviously, the original plan being game day for the Sugar Bowl, Georgia Notre Dame, was to be outside and do a festive broadcast, much like we did yesterday on New Year's Eve, and much like much of our coverage from New Orleans has been here thus far. The incident that you're perhaps aware of from last night now really prevents any of that from happening. But we did want to come on the air for a few minutes and address what we know and talk about what the next 12 hours or so are sort of expected to be like. If you are just waking up to this, and I think a lot of us did kind of wake up to this morning, very late last night, very early this morning, if you want to say it that way, there was a mass casualty event on Bourbon Street in obviously New Orleans. And where we are, right across the street from the Georgia Team Hotel, you'll remember yesterday as we did our show, DawgNation Daily, we had the Georgia Team Hotel in the background. So we're kind of both located right here in the same area. We're on Canal Street. 2 blocks over from us is Bourbon Street. You'll see images on the screen today of really what is essentially just outside our hotel, that stretch of Bourbon Street, a couple of blocks where the Georgia team is staying, then a couple of blocks down from that where a truck, and I think it's ABC News that's reported this, others I think are reporting this as well, has essentially driven around late last night, early morning, driven around the barricades that were in place there. And as the New Orleans Police Commissioner has said, essentially with the intent of killing as many people as possible. ESPN has reported that there was, I guess, alleged shooting coming out of the truck while this was happening. There's, I think, an investigation going on, perhaps not confirmed as of yet, that a bomb print could have been involved in this. That's at least been some of the investigations here right now. And, of course, perhaps you may be aware of the phrase fog of war, that as a chaotic scene emerges, sometimes details as they're understood can change. We're certainly on guard for some of the details that are being reported, even by reputable outlets. Some of that may change here over the course of the next few hours and as more information becomes available. But at the very least, this was a mass casualty event here. Reported 10 dead, in excess of 30 injured. And obviously the investigation is ongoing, including even right now. The University of Georgia put out a statement earlier that the request from New Orleans city officials right now is that anyone in the area remain sheltered in place, that there is a large police presence, as you would imagine, down on the scene. All of Bourbon Street is closed, including right outside our hotel here, as officials try to make sense of what has happened here and try to learn about all of this. There's also been some announcements from the city within the last really hour here too, where we now know, I believe ESPN the first to report this, that the game will be played tonight. There's obviously now some heightened security that's no doubt going to be put in place here. And listen, just sort of step outside I guess the reporting on this for a moment. I think that those of us who've been here this week have felt incredibly safe. The city of New Orleans, I think, does a tremendous job with the Sugar Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl hospitality is always top notch. This is, one of the dream bowl scenarios. You get a chance to come to this place. New Orleans has always done big events very well because it's a very compact city. Everything is kind of, you're located very closely compared to, like, say, a Los Angeles for a national championship, where many of the events are 30 and 45 minutes away from each other. And New Orleans is all going to be right there, kind of in walking distance, and it creates an incredibly festive vibe for events like this. And the Sugar Bowl officials, always so hospitable. The food is a big part of it, and anything like this. And so I think those of us who've been here have been having a tremendous time because this city knows how to do big events very well. But now, as you kind of move into the situation for tonight, it's going to be behind the scenes having very different conversations about how it keeps everyone safe and how it does everything that it can do to, I guess, address the ongoing situation here at the moment. But it has been announced within the last hour or so that tonight's game will be played, and behind the scenes, police, government officials, Sugar Bowl officials talking about all of the security measures that perhaps they want to put in place for that. If you are here in New Orleans, my encouragement to you is to reach out to your folks back in Georgia or wherever they might be. I know this morning it's been an incredible series of phone calls and text messages of people reaching out. Have you heard from so-and-so? Is everybody okay? Kind of almost doing a bit of a roll call. And thankfully, to this point, everybody that we've interacted with, they have all kind of reported back in. This incident did occur, very late, in the sort of late hours of the night, or if you want to say it this way, very early hours of the morning. Most of our people had gone to bed, well before all of that would have taken place. But that process is going. So if you're just waking up in New Orleans, and not to make light of this, but obviously it was New Year's Eve, many folks are sleeping in, and perhaps you've had your phone turned off, something like that. If you've not been connected to your devices, if you haven't been connected to the outside world, there are people out there that want to hear from you. So please make sure you take that time to call them. Please make sure you take that time to reach out to them. Everybody wants to check on everybody here, and that's a process that's going to be ongoing for most of the day. I've also reached out to some people close to Georgia, the best that we can tell thus far. This incident hasn't impacted Georgia in particular, as we know yet. Thus far, the reports we're hearing back on that is it has been positive thus far, so we'll hope that continues to be the case. But I think the place that we are now is just in the very tragic circumstances of making sense of obviously a very senseless act here, as a lot of people are dead today, and all of this happening by what I believe has been New Orleans mayor and others are calling an act of terrorism, a terrorist attack. And so we'll find out specifically what that means later on, but those are the words that city officials are using here right now, and the degree to which that, as it's been described, someone trying to just kill as many people as they could. This has obviously directly impacted all of us here in New Orleans for this Sugar Bowl. But as we said a moment ago, the plan is for that game to be played, and that will obviously take place at its normal time here tonight. And Georgia fans or anybody in New Orleans that's here right now being asked to stay away from the scene there on Bourbon Street and to allow city officials to do what they need to do, but also just to make sure that everybody stays as safe as they possibly can here on what is a very different New Year's Day in New Orleans than we expected it to be. We're going to go short today, obviously. This is not a regular, normal edition of DawgNation Daily, but we want to just kind of make you aware of all of this. I want to bring in John Stinchcomb right now. We originally had plans. John and I have been talking this week. He's here for the game. We were wanting to talk some football and get ready to enjoy all of that. And John, obviously, we're not able to do that, but you're also, I think, a good person to share perspective with this today because you played here in New Orleans. And I think you know the way this city embraces its sports culture, whether it be the Saints, the local team, or big events like the Sugar Bowl. There is such a point of pride that New Orleans takes in doing big events. Well, the Super Bowl at the end of the NFL season is going to be here once again in New Orleans. I sort of think of New Orleans as sort of the Super Bowl city in many ways. Some of the more memorable games have taken place here in this town. So when tragedy strikes, this is going to hit you personally because you spent a lot of years here in New Orleans. So, what does it mean to you to watch the way in which people are waking up to this here today?
It hurts because the city is near and dear to my heart, and anytime there's such a senseless act that takes the life of so many, and you recognize the decision of one can affect all of us. And I felt like New Orleans, having been here for a number of years of my life and visited for major events, they have done a great job of the police presence, the cleanliness of the city. There was an emphasis on trying to put their best foot forward. And when you have such a senseless act that causes harm not only to those that lost their lives, but the perspective of, for all of us. I mean, you're trying to celebrate and welcome in a new year. And after dinner, we walked down Bourbon Street, and you saw a lot of, there were still families out that were celebrating the new year, and to recognize that one person made the choice that devastates all of us and is costly. It hurts. It hurts because it puts a stain on the eye of New Orleans and the event, and obviously the Sugar Bowl is affected and all of us. But ultimately, you zoom back out and you think we live in a fallen world where folks are hurting and they hurt other folks, and I wish that this was just a one-time event, but sadly in today's society, it feels like there's so many times where we're mourning the loss of life based on the decisions of individuals that are lashing out. And we all woke up. I woke up with my phone filled with text messages, and I appreciate those that are checking on us that want to make sure that we're okay, knowing how close we are to it. But ultimately, it's heartbreaking.
On the 30th, 2 nights ago, we would have had a media event in Bourbon Street for that, and we were on Bourbon Street that night pretty late. But I remember as I was like watching and seeing everything go down there, I just remember thinking about how tough the job is to be a police officer in a city like this, because New Orleans has crafted a reputation for itself. People come here wanting to have a good time, and there's a certain expectation that those folks have of, hey, it's going to be fun on Bourbon Street. There's going to be people everywhere. It's going to be kind of wild, and the police, I think, do a really good job of sort of allowing that fun vibe to exist without also letting it go too far. And I just remember we were up on one of those elevated balcony areas, kind of looking out over Bourbon Street, and I was actually watching the mounted police and how they're kind of keeping the peace and keeping the order here while also allowing people to have a good time. And I just was struck that night by how difficult it is to be a police officer in a energetic space like that, in a big event type thing like that. And, obviously they have a very hard job already, and now essentially made impossible by what happened last night. But, I'll just reiterate what I said a little earlier. I think the people around New Orleans have always done a really good job at the Sugar Bowl. And I know they're heartbroken today that someone has, encroached on that and obviously done such horrific damage here in the city. But, I was really just amazed this week leading into this about just how good they do in making all this run as smoothly as it can, given the fact that people have a certain expectation for what's going to happen when you come to New Orleans, how much fun that's going to be. And yet they were seemingly striking the right balance with all of that. And so I hate it for so many reasons, but the fact that it mars what I think had been such a great week for so many of the fans and visitors who've been here, not just for the game, but people come here for New Year's Eve just on its own here. And just horrible to be talking about all of that here on this day.
Yes, and the city, I felt, had done such a great job in preparation. Obviously, the Super Bowl's coming here in a little over a month, and you can tell the work that the city has put in to present itself in a glowing way to the rest of the world. And I felt it was noticeable, the police presence up and down Bourbon Street and just in the area. Their attention to detail, I think, it's almost as if they pressure washed the city in preparation to put their best foot forward, and understanding what the expectations of those who are visiting. There's some revelry that occurs here, but they wanted to make sure it was done in a safe way, and there was a noticeable presence of police and presentation, and there was an awareness there that the city has done their very best to show a very glowing light, a shining light on what the city offers, and to have that marred. Again, I keep using the same words, but it hurts. It hurts all of us, and certainly for those that this city means so much to, and I fall in that category. It pains me to see the lengths that so many have gone to and through, and then that can be taken away by one.
So we'll kind of wrap up here. Let me reiterate what we do know here at the moment. Obviously, the latest news to come out is that within the last hour, it has been confirmed that tonight's game will be played. Conversations ongoing about what the security measures will be for that, but the decision is made. It is safe to play tonight. And so both Georgia and Notre Dame will make their way to the Superdome tonight. Fans in the area waiting for that have been asked to shelter in place here. In fact, we'll give you some more of the details as we kind of understand them right now. If you are sort of waking up to all of this and getting familiar with this here right now, there was a horrible, tragic incident last night on Bourbon Street. As we know it now, at least 10 are dead because of that. More than 30 injured. The suspect involved, the alleged suspect, is also dead here too, after it has been reported by New Orleans mayor, New Orleans police commissioner, that essentially an attempt was made to kill as many people as possible, driving a truck around barricades at a high rate of speed through Bourbon Street. There are also, other, I guess, suspected, whether it be gunfire or what's essentially being described as a bomb. All of that is sort of ongoing and being investigated here too, but that's a part of the official reporting on this right now as well. That suspect is now dead, we're told. FBI is now involved in this investigation, is somewhat typical in a mass casualty event like this. We are also told that 2 police officers have been shot in the I guess the aftermath of that as well. And that investigation is obviously ongoing here right now. It would not surprise me at all over the course of the next few hours if you see videos of Georgia fans and Notre Dame fans coming together in prayer, uniting just for the attempt to try to heal a broken city here, and just to make sense of the sadness that everyone is going to be feeling as this day progresses. But as it gets to later on, we will be here live to give you more information as it comes available. But that is where things stand right now. So stay close to DawgNation. We'll have more information for you as it is known.